Hey guys, this is Janine from Pangolin Photo Safaris, and today I'll be talking to you about how to best crop an image. First, I'll be talking about formats and aspect ratios, as well as the recommended pixel count for a print. Secondly, I'll be going through some basic cropping rules and how to break them. And last, I'll be explaining some tips and tricks on how cropping can help you salvage an image that might have gone wrong. I hope you will enjoy this, so let's jump right in. Unlike the technical side of photography, cropping is a tool that affects the creative aspect of photography and is therefore a very personal choice and subjective. However, anyone is entitled to their own taste and ideas. Please share them with me just down below. Number 1, aspect ratios and pixel counts. While the cropping tool in any software seems very straightforward and easy to use, cropping is often not quite as intuitive as one thinks. During Pangolin's regular Lightroom workshops and editing sessions with guests, I often find that cropping takes place rather uncoordinated, meaning that photographers often choose a seemingly random aspect ratio that best fits the subject in the frame. The result is that each and every image is differently sized, and images don't get displayed in their full potential whenever they are presented, as the aspect ratio usually doesn't fit the medium anymore. My personal OCD doesn't allow me to have a portfolio of images with different formats. It frankly drives me mad. However, there's good reasons to choose a variety of different aspect ratios for your images. My suggestion is to keep them in their original format until you know what you want to do with the image. Do you want to print a 3-piece wall art? Choose a panorama for your welcome screen on your homepage? Make a social media post? Or create a slideshow on your TV? Each undertaking requires you to choose a different aspect ratio, and not every aspect ratio suits every photograph or subject matter. So not just do you need to know which aspect ratio is required, but also find the right image to suit your undertaking. You might now think that I make this sound way more complicated than what it should be. But let's have a look at it together and check out the 3 most frequently used aspect ratios that differentiate from our original camera format, which is a 2:3. 16:9 is what both a TV screen and a computer monitor use. So if your intention is to create a slideshow for your TV, display an image on an overhead projector at a camera club, build a screensaver on your computer, or insert images into a presentation, 16:9 is the best aspect ratio to choose. It is fairly similar to your original format and should fit most horizontal or otherwise called landscape images very well. It does look quite awkward vertically, as it is simply too long and also doesn't add any value for the mentioned mediums in that regard. Next, we have a 4:5, which is an aspect ratio that has increasingly gained in popularity through social media posts. All vertical social media posts on Instagram and Facebook are displayed as a 4:5 aspect ratio. Facebook does allow you to expand the image to the original 2:3, but unless you click on the image, it is displayed as a random crop that you have no control over. Instagram does not provide you with a 2:3 option at all. While horizontal can be displayed in the original 2:3 format, vertical images tend to have better traction on social media as they are visually larger on a cell phone screen, which most people use to browse through Instagram, for instance. This was quite an adjustment for me, and one I don't particularly enjoy, I must admit. The reason is twofold. Firstly, I often prefer horizontal or landscape images over vertical images. It might have to do with the fact that we are very used to looking at horizontal layouts in monitors. Or maybe because our own peripheral vision is wider than what it is high and therefore feels natural. Secondly, I often find that the 4x5 format is simply too short. It feels like the subject gets squashed into space and is lacking negative space that draws the viewer in. It is rare that I find the format really optimal. Last, I want to touch on the 1:1 aspect ratio, a format that is particularly interesting for Instagram posts, as your profile is displayed in a tile format of squares. If your images are cropped square to start off with, your Instagram timeline will look great. However, I find that most images only look great in 1:1 when they display a perfectly symmetrical subject, or alternatively, a subject that is at least photographed head-on. It can be a format that looks great as a print of 3 for your home, but it remains to be a very specific aspect ratio that is only suitable in a few instances. To sum this up, I always would suggest to keep the aspect ratio at 2:3, as it is the most versatile, or 16:9 if you know you'll be displaying your images mostly on horizontal screens. Any other crop can be applied once you actually know what you would like to do with the image, and then find a suitable image to fit the aspect ratio that is needed. For these reasons, or maybe because I'm simply OCD, I always keep my lock on the cropping tool to avoid ending up with an undefined format that doesn't fit any medium or purpose. I really hope this video helps you, and if you do like it, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and press the like button down below. Stay tuned if you want to learn more about how to best crop a wildlife picture. But before we get into cropping, let's first have a quick look at our pixel count. I have been shooting a camera with 20.2 megapixels for the past few years, which is displayed right here when multiplying the short and long edge of the image to get the total pixel count. When you crop your image, you physically take pixels away and therefore your size will change. How much can we crop an image to retain a suitable quality? Well, that depends on how large you would like your image displayed and how many pixels you start off with. Here is a rough rule of thumb. An A4 print or a 16-inch computer screen will require a pixel count of about 8.5 megapixels. An A3 print will require a pixel count of 15 megapixels. And an A1 to A0 print, or let's say a 40-inch TV screen, requires a pixel count of nearly 70 megapixels. That is when we talk about an outstanding image quality. Very often, prints are quite forgiving though, as we don't tend to stand 1 centimeter away from them and stare at every single detail, but rather soak it up at a distance. Also, we have amazing image softwares that increase our pixel count in retrospective, such as Photoshop or Topaz Gigapixels. Those tools can help you print a 20 megapixel image way larger than one could have ever dreamed of. That being said, you might have already noticed that we can crop an image with 45 megapixels, for instance, way more liberally than an image with only 20. But keep the following 2 things in mind. 1, larger megapixel cameras tend to display noise more quickly as your pixels are smaller and cannot absorb light as good. And 2, cropping might bring your image closer, but will not improve the effect of a bokeh on your background, as you were not actually physically closer to your subject when you took the picture. If you are mainly active on social media though, sizes are going to be completely irrelevant to you, and you can crop an image much more drastically as pictures are usually getting displayed rather small. Making your image smaller while keeping the same crop is always an option by resizing them when you export. Matter of fact, I would recommend doing so, as social media platforms tend to compress your image upon upload otherwise. Programs such as Adobe Lightroom do a much better job and spit out a better looking image when compressing, rather than leaving it up to Facebook, for instance. Number 2, cropping rules. Now let's dive into how to crop images and how not to. But who actually gets to decide on that? Before we get started, I just wanted to touch on the difference between cropping and composition of an image. Cropping is the process of cutting away pixels and information of an image in post-production, with the goal to make the subject seem larger or gain a better composition of the image. While cropping can involve improving your image's composition, the composition can also be achieved by simply getting it right to start off with. That being said, most cropping rules are therefore basic composition rules. Leave more space into the direction the animal looks into. Don't cut your animal around the ankles or knees. If you want a close-up, make sure you cut it around the body. This can sometimes be a bit of a tricky one and might require a few trials, and some people say never crop halfway through an animal, but I think it can look funky. I guess just make sure that it doesn't look like you just lost a body part by accident. If something is distracting in the background, try and crop it out. Make sure you get your horizon straight. Try and provide more space into the direction that has the calmer environment. So place the animal towards the top of the frame if the foreground looks great, and the other way around. Do not crop too tight and leave space around the animal if the background is not distracting, to provide the animal room to breathe and the imagination room to spin a story. And if you do want to break the rules, do it so outrageously that it feels right again. Because at the end, it is your image to play with, and nobody can tell you what to do and what not to. Number 3, how cropping can save your image. Wildlife photography can be quite technical, and it truly helps if you know both your camera and the wildlife behavior well. But big parts of it remain to be luck and a really quick reaction time on your trigger. Often when we do get surprised by a situation, our composition and focus isn't ideal. We're just glad that we caught it at all. This is where cropping can save us. For instance, you can crop vertical if you didn't provide your animal with enough space to look into. Nobody will know. If animals are overlapping awkwardly in your picture, crop the overlapping part out. Or if you happen to clip an animal unfortunate, crop it even stronger to make it look like it was intentional. If the background or even light conditions are difficult, crop it tight to focus on the part of the image that looked beautiful. All in all, you see that cropping can be quite a science in itself. Keeping a certain structure and aspect ratio helps you to make up your mind and provide you with guidelines on how to crop the image in the first place. Let me know if you have any other approach to it in the comment section below, and how cropping works for you. Until the next time, bye bye.